classrooms to the field, truth and laughter both revealed. Tune in for that special feel. Nampa School's always real. Welcome to Nampa, where dreams can grow. Matt and Tyler on the show. Welcome to Nampa, where dreams can grow. Matt and Tyler on the show. Welcome to Nampa, hear the beat. Join the podcast, take your seat.
All right, welcome back to the Nampa School District Podcast, brought to you by CapEd Credit Union. CapEd, it's more than banking, it's making a difference. My name is Tyler Keefe. I am the NSC Digital Communications Specialist, and alongside me is the one and definitely only.
Yeah, luckily.
Yes, for all of us, luckily, Matt Sizemore.
There it is.
There it is.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Nice to be kicking off. No, we're not kicking off season 2, but continuing season 2.
Finally.
Yeah, right. With episode 4. It's been a while, so let's get back. Let's get rolling. And we've got something a little new today we're going to be doing. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. You can not only, of course, check us out on NSD social media and all the other podcast channels that you can catch us on, but for the first time, you can hear us or see us or whatever it is on ParentSquare. What? We want to make sure our families have direct access to all of the amazing resources that CapEd Credit Union has to offer, and that kind of segues us into what the other new thing we're going to be doing.
Yeah, no, one thing I do want to mention that not all of our podcasts we're going to put on ParentSquare, because we know, parents get a lot of notifications from their schools and from us at the district. So we do want to respect that. But once a month, we are going to be sending our CapEd Credit Union focused episodes that we're going to have. And Matt's going to explain what those are, what those all about. And they're actually really cool because I get to sit behind the camera and just sit back and listen. And I get to learn a lot of cool things about budgeting and finance that Matt's going to intro here. And go ahead.
Yeah, I get to be the curious one because, no matter how long you've been around, there's always something to learn, especially when it comes to money. A lot of people will realize you really just don't know everything, though it's nice to pretend you do. But of course, we're teaming up with our friends at CapEd Credit Union, just like we have for this podcast and many other things. We're doing a brand new monthly series focused on financial literacy. We're going to be talking about real world money topics, nothing boring. We're talking budgeting, saving, credit, scams, student loans. It's not going to be, like I said, a boring financial class or anything. It's you'll hear I'm genuinely curious, and the person who's going to be doing that with us each month is Brenna Greenwood. She's CapEd's financial education specialist. She's awesome. She knows her stuff. She's super easy to talk to, and nicely answered all of my questions, no matter how ridiculous.
Silly. That's a good way to put it.
Yes, exactly. And so in our first episode today, we get to know Brenna and dive into something we all deal with, which is the way we think about money. And that's not something we might think about on a regular basis. We all know about money. We know what it does. We know it's required. But there are different ways that people think about money, and learning about this, whether it's money personalities, stress, why budgeting can fail, and how to build healthier financial habits. These are a lot of things that I learned about, and I'm excited to share it with everyone.
Yeah, so, without further ado, I guess, let's get into it. And here's the first of the CapEd Financial Literacy Series right here on the Nampa School District Podcast, brought to you by, you guessed it, CapEd Credit Union.
All right, everybody. Right now, we are bringing in Brenna Greenwood. And Brenna, you are CapEd's financial education specialist. Welcome to episode 1 as we do these wonderful monthly financial little pieces we're going to be doing.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm excited to learn. I was just talking to you a little bit about a lot of the things that we're going to cover in episode 1, even episode 2. And there is so much that I think the average person does not think about at all when it comes to money. So before we get into all that, we want to know why it's such a great idea for people to be listening to you. So let's learn about Brenna Greenwood right now. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into financial education?
Yeah, I don't come from a financial background at all.
Okay, well, it's been fun.
I grew up in a family of 6 kids. We didn't have a whole lot. I had no idea that we didn't have a whole lot. My family never, ever talked about money. I graduated from college knowing I had student loans, but not knowing how much they were for.
Oh.
So, I kind of was in a world of hurt when I graduated, and all of a sudden I'm managing my own finances and trying to figure it out as I go. And then I spent 10 years in high school classrooms teaching, figuring things out as I went, knowing that I was making a lot of mistakes. And after about 10 years, I was leaving the traditional classroom, and this position with CapEd opened up. And I applied, and I was like, listen, I'm going to have to learn a lot about finances, but I come from, in a lot of ways, a really relatable position. I think, like you said, we don't think about our money as much as we could or should. We don't talk about our money as much as we could or should. And so now I get to be the person that understands where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Has a knowledge base, because I've learned a lot in the last couple of years in this position. And I am always excited to help people be the best version of themselves, like whatever that looks like. And our world revolves around money. Yeah. This is in everyone's lives every day. Sure and so the opportunity to help or give a little nugget of knowledge that like becomes something that people can grasp onto and it makes their situation better. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
So I'm thinking that's, first off, you were raised, excuse me, with, you were one of 6.
Yeah.
Wow. And the beautiful thing is that I can't even like fathom with parents with 6 children is not hearing about money. I mean, that's right. So impressive and amazing of your parents to not put any of that burden on their kids. Would you say that that's something that maybe played into a role of making you passionate about helping people navigate their money better? Or what was it that really did that?
I think in a lot of ways, yeah. We didn't talk a whole lot about money. And I think it was just that my parents didn't want to put that burden on us. And so, you know, we always kind of had what we needed, and my mom would somehow magically feed our friends when they came over, and that is amazing and incredible. Oh. And I have nothing but good things to say about my parents. On the other side of the coin, looking back, I also wish that I would have known more.
Yeah.
And I think that when we have certain perceptions about our own money situation, we tend to get quiet, right? I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to put that on other people. I don't want other people to feel like they have to help me or be stressed on my behalf.
Yeah.
So I just won't say anything, right? But at the same time, like, how much could we actually be helping each other out if we did talk about it more?
Yeah.
Especially in families, to understand the family situation, to learn how to manage money at like age-appropriate levels as we go through life. Just puts us in a better situation overall. Even if we don't have a lot, we can still do a lot with what we have.
There, it's beautiful. Well put. So let's get into it then. Money as a skill. That is something I've heard before. I want to talk about that because you can really equate it to like a football practice or sports practice, something like that. It's a skill that we can get better at. So what exactly does that mean in your opinion?
Yeah. I always like to ask people, how were you at walking when you were 3 weeks old?
Not great.
Right? Like,
I think.
we're really non-mobile at 3 weeks old. So the reality is that the way that we learn and the way that we grow in skills is that we have to watch other people. We have to try, and we have to do, and we have to fail, and we have to try again. We have to adjust. I've coached volleyball for years.
Nice.
And the reality is that sometimes tweaking one little thing can completely change your performance in sports, true, but in any skill in life. So public speaking, skill. Yeah. Anything having to do with money, skill. Like, you can get better at it. I sometimes remind people, like, learning a new skill is really hard. Like, when you were 3 weeks old, you couldn't walk.
Yeah.
When you learned to walk, you fell down. You like bonked yourself many times, but you got up and you tried again.
Yeah.
And I think that that is the piece that sometimes is missing with money, right? Is like we get, oh, well, I failed. So now I'm just ashamed and I will just ignore it and hope that everything works out instead of saying, oh, I fell down, I got a bonk, but it's okay. I'll get up and I'll try again.
Right. Yeah. And I'd say, maybe you've seen it more than me, but I say probably, especially for adults who are middle-aged or later, kind of stuck in their ways.
Oh, yeah.
And if they've had bad money habits, that's going to continue. But they're people that can learn as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that when I'm coaching like older athletes, we often tell them like it might get worse before it gets better, right? Like if we change something, it's going to be hard at first if we're making a change, but we can make the change.
Yep.
And then once we make that change, actually, we see significant improvements after that in performance, right? So it's like the idea of if I were to tweak the way that I was saving, things might feel really tight in the beginning and it might feel like I don't get to have any fun and that stinks. But then all of a sudden it's going to get a little bit easier and then I'm going to see my savings go up and I'm going to realize there is room in my budget for fun things still as I'm balancing things out.
Feeling less stressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like the kind of idea that like it's going to be hard at first.
Yeah.
There's actually things in like our brain and our psychology that work for us and against us when we go into this idea of like change and the way that we approach money.
What a segue. Let's jump into that. Neural pathways, neural plasticity.
Yeah.
Those, whatever those are, play a role in how we handle money, I'm told. What exactly are those?
Yeah. So, okay, neuroplasticity is this idea that our brain has this innate ability to change, to stretch, to grow into what we need it to do for our life.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Neural pathways is the idea that the more that we do something, the easier that thing gets for us. So again, let's go back to walking.
Okay.
When you first started, you wobbled, you fell down a lot, but you got better. Now you probably walk without even thinking about it, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
A lot. I know. I understand where you're coming from.
There's moments.
Right? So a lot of people, especially in the sports world, call that muscle memory.
Yes.
But the reality is that your muscles can't actually move without your brain telling it to do so.
Yeah.
So the way that I like to describe neural pathways to people who've never done it before is to imagine your brain like a jungle.
Okay.
Okay. You have your like home base. You're there. You're in the middle of your brain. The first time that you go somewhere in the jungle, you're probably going to have to take a machete.
For so many reasons.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard and it's going to take you a long time. It's going to be sweaty and uncomfortable and you're going to be miserable. The next time you go, you're probably still going to have to take your machete, but maybe you don't have to cut as many things down on your way because you did it before.
Sure.
And eventually you can have a paved road. You've been down that pathway so many times, right? So this idea of neural pathways is that you create these roads in your brain the more that you do something.
Very nice.
So the more that you practice saving, the more that it's going to be like, oh yeah, I just saved. It's like duh.
Yeah.
Right? It's muscle memory. But it's not. It's neural pathways.
Interesting. Man, the things that you can equate to everything else happening, like with sport. I mean, everybody uses sports analogy all the time, sports analogies, and it's just another perfect example. Let me ask you about status quo bias and loss aversion. Another thing, obviously, hanging out with the brain.
Yes.
How do those sneak into our financial decisions, and what are those exactly?
Yeah, so just like neuroplasticity and neural pathways can help us, status quo bias and loss aversion can be those things that kind of like pop up to hurt us, right? Okay, so status quo bias is the idea that we don't like change. We like the status quo the way that it is because change is hard and you have to take your machete.
Yeah.
Why would I want to take my machete when I could just stay in my nice little hub here in the middle of my brain and not go anywhere or learn anything new?
Why venture out?
Or try new things. Yeah. So that's status quo bias, which is why sometimes it's like harder to break those habits that we were talking about if you've been doing something for a while. It's not that you can't break the habits. It's just that sometimes your psychology works against you and is like, but change is really uncomfortable. Are you sure you want to?
This is safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then loss aversion is actually this psychological idea that we feel the loss of something more than we feel any real or potential gains. Example.
Okay.
Okay. So say that my favorite food is French fries.
Okay.
Because it is.
Okay.
Okay. So if I were to go on a diet and say, no French fries on this diet,
Okay.
I'm immediately going to be resistant to this diet because French fries are my favorite food. And I'm going to feel the loss of the French fries more than I'm going to feel the gain or potential gain of not having as much fried food, saturated
Yes.
fat, carbs,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have to back up and say, it might be hard to lose this, but here's what I could potentially gain. Another way of working with that is like balancing it, going, I can lose some of it, but you can't take it away from me completely.
Okay.
Like maybe moderation instead of excess is what will help me be successful there. But you have to know, like, I don't really want to make this decision because like I might not be able to spend as much on Amazon at 3:00 in the morning when I'm up and shopping online for no reason.
Always the best decisions
Right?
then. Yep.
You're going to feel that. But like, what is the gain or potential gain that you're going to get out of it? And maybe it's just that I try to sleep more at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shop.
That's probably good.
Right.
So it really sounds like you need to every so often. It's good to be disciplined. It's good to have that goal. But as they famously say in Parks and Rec, you need to sometimes treat yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a lot of people, it's a necessary part of having a plan for your money.
Right. Okay.
It's like you have to. I mean, it depends on who you are,
Sure.
but
Those cold turkey people. That's
it's
hard to do.
impressive.
Yeah, it is
It's
impressive.
not me. I wish my personality was that way.
Most people are not. So jumping more into the brain a little bit more, how about handling, just being able to handle failure and then growing from it? I mean, we've all been there. You try to make a budget, you stick with it for a while, something happens, your car explodes, your kid gets really sick or needs like is going to college, let's say,
Yeah.
and suddenly you have to, hopefully you've been planning for that, but
Right.
spend a bunch of money. So how do people, how should they handle that moment of, oh my gosh, I have to spend an incredible amount. There goes my budget. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think the more that we plan for things in advance, the better off that we are. It's where things like emergency funds come in really handy. Like if your car breaks down and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It's literally the reason why I started saving.
Yeah. Okay.
Because my car broke down. I had to call my dad and be like, Dad, can I have $400 to fix my car? And he was like, okay, we can make that happen. Right. And I was like, I feel so bad. I never want to have to do that again.
That's good that you felt bad though.
Well, again, I'm very lucky in that I had my parents able to support me in that situation. But like when you look at it, it's a skill. You have to know that you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And I think that we get it in our brains that like, but if I have a budget, I won't fail.
Because you're doing the right thing in
Right.
some ways, and
Right.
there's nothing wrong can happen.
Right. So I won't fail because this is the plan and I'm gonna stick to the plan. But we have to know that like things happen in life.
Yeah.
Your car's gonna break down.
Yeah.
You're going to get sick. You're going to fall down the stairs at 12:07 on a Tuesday and you're going to break your leg. Like these things happen.
Right.
So we plan for those, right? We try to plan the best that we can for the big expenses like a kid going to college or things like that. And then we have to give ourselves a little bit of like grace and understanding for the other stuff,
Yeah.
right? This idea of like, ooh, I failed on my budget this month. That doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean your budget is a failure.
Yeah.
It means that you had a month.
Right. You had a well put. Yes.
It means you had a month. Can next month be different? Like, could you adjust for next month? Because the resiliency of readjusting and saying like, okay, that was rough,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean I have to change everything. I can adjust. Maybe I can give myself a little grace.
Sure.
and then I can move forward.
Yeah.
Because even like what's going on in our lives affects how we approach our money and our budget, right? Like if I'm going through more stress than normal, I might be more tempted to visit that Amazon app than I usually am.
At 3 a.m.
Well, I'm up. I'm stressing. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
you got it.
Exactly.
And that leads right into our attitude towards money and the words we use around it. So how does that attitude affect the way we save and spend and even budget?
Yeah. I think our attitude surrounding money becomes really, really important, right? Like, is money a tool that is helping you live your life, or is money a source of stress, right? Even that mental approach to it, if money is a source of stress, like what can you do to make it a tool that's helping you live your life the way that you want to live it? That's not going to say that like, if I put a budget in place today, then tomorrow my whole life will be fixed and it will be fine, right? But I think even the words that we use, like you were saying, I'll be honest, I hate the word budget. Like I hate it. I hear the word budget and I'm like, ugh. Yeah. Right? Because I think of the word diet.
Yeah. Trigger word.
I think of all the things they're going to tell me I can't or I shouldn't spend my money on. And I'm going to be like, I really don't want any part of your budget. Right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
But if I just reword it, if I call it a spending plan, spoiler alert, I don't know if you've noticed by the way I talk about Amazon, and I tend to be a spender.
Sure.
Right? And I've put things in place to help me spend less where I maybe shouldn't be spending as much. But because I hate the word budget as a spender, if I call it a spending plan, it immediately gives my brain permission to spend as long as I have a plan for it. Right? And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, like that doesn't seem so bad. I can probably do that.
Right.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm managing my money better because I changed a word.
Because you changed a word. That's
like it really can be that simple. Just like changing what you call something, changing the way that you mentally approach something. This is not like a crash diet where I'm going to change everything and I'm going to spend nothing and I'm just going to like cold turkey.
Right.
Like no fun.
Yeah.
You're more likely to fail in those cases, right? But just like so money is a part of your health,
right? Your
financial well-being, right? The best thing to do when you're trying to change your health is to take little sustainable steps that turn into habits that you can hold on to long term.
Yes.
And then once you have one, you add another one, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing with your money. If you try to change everything that you do overnight, you're probably going to have to be a lot more resilient than the person who changes one little thing.
Yeah.
And then moves on to the next thing, right?
Okay.
Like maybe you're not saving anything in an emergency fund right now, but what if this week you saved $20 in an emergency fund
and you
just didn't touch it?
Okay.
And then in 2 weeks when you get paid, or in a month when you get paid, you save another $20.
Sure.
Right? It's going to take you somewhere between 2 and 5 months to have $100. But then you have $100 that's set aside in case your car breaks down.
That's true.
You popped a tire, you can replace it. Boom. No problem. No stress.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Now this one kind of on the same train of thought. When we say the term, what you value is where your money goes. I like that. We talked about that. What exactly does that mean?
That's a good question. So a lot of people think, well, I'll make sure that I'm going to put my money to the things that like I need.
Right.
Right? Like I'm going to put money towards food. Cool. If you're not a foodie and you're planning on spending a really big chunk of your budget towards food, but you are like a gearhead and you love cars and you plan to not spend anything on your car.
Oh.
How's that going to go for you? Right? So like if you value cars, your money's going to go towards your car. Maybe it's like updating your spoiler. Maybe it's buying accessories for your car. Whatever it is, you're more likely to spend money on your car.
Right.
Maybe a high car payment, whatever it is. If you value music, you're more likely to buy concert tickets or spend money on a music subscription or download things. Our money goes to what we value.
Yeah.
We have to know what we value so that we can adjust and plan for that.
Okay.
Right? It's why we can't always do this like one size fits all situation with our money, because what I value is going to be different from what you value.
Exactly. Yeah, I've already spent way too much on comedy shows this year.
There you go.
My gosh, the amount they're charging these days.
Well,
but it's
see,
worth
I'm
it. It's
not
value.
likely to go to a comedy show, though. Not because I don't enjoy comedy, but because I'm like, I already pay for Netflix, and there's comedy shows on Netflix, and I can watch that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't feel the need to go live. But I spend so much money on my children.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, me too.
New car seat? Sure. New clothes? Why not?
They need
Like,
it.
right? And, or like, oh, but they really wanted that toy or that treat. And I'm like, well, they were really good today. Maybe they should get a reward for whatever it is. Like, our money goes to what we value.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good way to look at that. And obviously, if I'm paying too much for comedy shows, you're paying not too much, but more.
Probably too much.
And possibly too much for other things like kids. Obviously, there's different money personalities here.
Yeah.
So what are the 4 main money personalities?
Okay. So the 4 are avoidance,
Okay.
worship, status, and vigilance. However, I like to talk about them as birds because it helps me remember them just a little bit better.
Okay.
So we talk about avoidance is an ostrich.
Okay.
Ostriches like to stick their head in the sand. People who are avoidant with their money like to just maybe not pay as much attention and hope that it all works out for the good of everyone, right?
Okay.
They're the
Ostrich.
most likely to have unopened bills. They're the most likely to like not open their online banking app
Okay.
ever.
Sure.
Right?
Oof.
Listen, I'm part ostrich.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
If I could tell you, I like walk in my house at home. I have a stack of unopened bills. I have a calendar appointment every 2 weeks to like sit down and open my bills. But I don't like opening. I work hard for my money. I don't want to see how fast it goes out the door.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea of being an ostrich is really like, I don't want to pay attention to it. I want to ignore it and hope that it all figures itself out.
Dangerous.
It also means that you're like likely to miss things,
Yeah.
right? Like car registration, whatever it is. The second one is worship. We talk about that like a crow. Crows like shiny things. They like to stockpile the shiny things. We're going to stockpile as much money as possible. Crows are great savers.
Oh.
They're great savers.
I didn't see it going that way if they're looking for shiny things all the time.
Well, they want to keep the shiny things, right? So they find the shiny things and then they like stockpile it away and they're like, and this will be mine. Crows are most likely to be like workaholics.
Okay.
Crows are most likely to not spend money on like fun or wants. Like sometimes you have to remind crows, like, you're not going to get to take this with you.
Okay.
You know, like it's okay to use it for enjoyment. Sometimes like not everything is going to be an emergency. You have enough stockpiled for an emergency. Like, what do you want your life to look like?
Right.
Kind of an idea.
Okay.
Then you have status. We talk about those like a peacock.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
They have lots of beautiful big plumage and they
Look
want
what I
the
have.
you have plumage. They are your spenders, right? They are the people that are most likely to spend money on name brand or like luxury items. They're the most likely to have credit card debt. They see money as like a status. Now, it doesn't always have to be that direction, right? Sometimes being a peacock is the person who's like, no, lunch is on me today.
Okay.
That like, I want to take
Too
care
nice.
of it. I want to be able to take care of other people. So I'm going to spend, even if I really shouldn't buy both of us coffee today because it's really not in my budget. I'm going to do it anyways.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right.
Sure.
And then the fourth is vigilance. I talk about that like an owl. These are
Okay.
the people who they're actually usually pretty money savvy, which is great,
Okay.
but they don't like anyone involved.
Okay.
Right. They're like, I don't really want to invest my money anywhere. I don't really even want to work with a financial institution. They're most likely to keep their money under a mattress.
I was going to say that's the money in the
Yep.
mattress people. Okay.
Yep. And it's funny because they are money savvy, so their money could be doing so much more for them because they're usually pretty balanced.
Okay.
But they're so fearful, might be a little bit extreme of a word, but fearful to like let other people become involved in that situation that their money can't do as much for them.
Okay. I gotcha.
So those are kind of the four types.
Okay. So how would one know what I mean, maybe it's self-evident, we'll go with.
Yeah.
But it's important to really know your own money personality. How do you kind of find that out within yourself?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm being really honest, we have a little quiz on our website. So like, if you're one of those people that's like, I really genuinely have no idea, you could go take the quiz. It's in our learning center on our website.
Okay.
But I think in a lot of ways, it's really just trying to like look at what we do and understand
How
we approach our money. You can be a mix. I'm like 3 at this point in my life. Some of them we get from like watching how the adults in our lives manage money when we grew up. That's where my ostrich comes from.
Okay.
My family never talked about money. I became someone who like ignored it and was like, hopefully it'll all work out, right? I'm also a peacock.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
And so when I got through college and all of a sudden I was making a grown up paycheck and I was like, whoa, I've never had this kind of, right. All of a sudden I started spending and I was not a saver at first. Right. I said I started saving when my car broke down. But before that, it was like I'd get paid and I'd spend it all. And then the next paycheck would come around and I'd spend it all because I was like, I have the money to spend.
Right.
You don't understand.
Oh.
I didn't used to have the money to spend. And that came from life experiences. But the older I've gotten, the more that I've like learned a little bit how to be a crow.
Okay.
Which has been nice, where it's like, okay, I'm learning how to save a little bit more, right? And all of the personalities have positives and negatives.
Sure. Okay.
Right? So like a crow's a great saver, but they probably need to have more fun.
Yes. Sounds good.
So it's about learning who you are and how you approach money and then balancing it.
Okay. So we're starting to kind of run out of time a little bit, but there's still a lot I want to cover. Like I want to talk to you about with money personalities, why is understanding your own so important and how does it help with relationships as well? And that's something I know we're going to get into in a future one, but maybe just a little overview on how.
Yeah, I think that when we understand our money personality, we can do 2 things.
Okay.
We can let our money personality help us plan better so that we can be more successful.
Okay.
And if there are harmful behaviors that we have, we can work on taking our machete through the jungle and fixing those behaviors.
Okay.
Right? When it comes to relationships, we need to be aware of our own money personality, but we also need to be aware of the other person's money personality, because when a crow is in a relationship with a peacock, it can be really difficult because your peacock's like, I want to go out to dinner this Friday night. And the crow's like, absolutely not. Do you know how expensive it is to eat out today? Like, that's ridiculous. Why would we do that when we could make the same dinner at home?
And not a bad point.
It's it's easier to understand each other, right? Like you can understand, oh, the crow is worried about not having that money in the event that we need it later. The peacock is going, but it's about the experience and the fun, and you don't get that when you make the dinner at home.
Right.
So understanding where the other person is coming from, it just makes your relationship healthier, because money, we'll talk about this later, but money is oftentimes the number one reason why relationships end.
I can see that. Absolutely. Okay. We'll get into that another time, but I know that's incredibly important. That also brings us to stress and how that affects health. And apparently 66% of adults say money is a major source of stress. Nearly half say it's hurt their mental health. I'm actually surprised it's not more than that, to be honest. Why does money weigh so heavily on people, would you say?
I think it's because so many things in our world revolve around it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, if I want to go get a certification or a degree, oh gosh, how am I going to pay for that? Right? And am I going to be making enough after doing that thing to pay for it and then be able to reap the benefits of it?
Right.
Or, oh my gosh, my child is sick. If I take them to the hospital, how much is that going to set me back? Do I have the money for it? Am I going to have to be on this long-term plan? What am I going to have to? So all these things that we're doing with money in our lives are like required to have money, to manage our money well. Well, if we don't have those habits in place, or if something just happened and then another thing happens, right? This chronic stress that we have, like, am I going to be able to live the life that I want to live am I going to be able to provide the kind of life that I want to provide for the people around me?
Right.
It becomes this major source of stress.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something like 67% of people worry about money at least once a week.
Yeah.
If not like worry, like stress about money at least once a week, not just think about it. And so if that's the case there, like imagine how many people that's a daily basis. Imagine how many people think about money on a daily basis, whether it's stressful or not.
Yeah.
Like,
and we all know what stress can do to your physical health as well.
Yeah. Gosh, I think I heard someone say that chronic long-term stress is like the number one thing that causes health deficits later in life.
That makes sense.
Right? And so if we're chronically stressed about our money, that doesn't just affect like our financial health, right? Eventually it takes a toll on our physical health too.
Of course. Yeah. But there are a lot of people though that maybe they have a realization this money situation, whatever their specific money situation is affecting their health, whether it's mental or physical. But then a lot of those people are embarrassed to reach out for help or look for help in any way. So what would you say to someone who's scared to reach out?
I think the first thing I would say is like, I get it, right? Like I understand where that feeling comes from. I think that we're built to feel a lot of shame if we don't have everything figured out when it comes to our money.
Yeah.
But like, when did we learn it? When did we practice it? Who taught us that? Like, are we from the school of Dave Ramsey, or like, did our parents teach us something about it? Did we only get any information about money from like our economics class in school? Like whatever it is, the landscape of money is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so even if you learned something 10 years ago, it's probably different today.
Yeah.
In like how you can do things. And so it's a lot. There's a lot of information. We're built to like, you don't know this? Why don't you know this?
Oh.
And I understand where that comes from.
Shame.
But the longer you sit in that shame, the less time you have to like make your situation better.
Yeah.
And again, if you were to apply like one small thing today that you could make into a habit in the next month, and then you applied another one, what could your financial situation look like in 5 years?
Yeah.
Or even in a year, right? But on the other side, what if you don't reach out because you're worried that someone's going to judge you? What is your financial situation going to look like in a year or in 5 years? And there are people who just want to help, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of people out there who are willing to sit down and go over that. You could start with your financial institution, right? They've seen it all. I promise they've seen better, they've seen worse, right? So all you have to do is like reach out and start. And it's the scariest step, but it's the most important step.
For sure. Absolutely.
And if you can just be brave.
Yeah, that's really all it is. Now, on that note, though, once you get that help, once you start realizing you don't want a lot of people, aside from the people you reach out to help for, helping you, but you don't really want to necessarily hear people telling you what to do with your money, because personal finance is that keyword, personal. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah. Well, let's just take you and me, right? We probably have different incomes. We probably have different family sizes.
Yes.
We're probably in slightly different stages of life.
Yes.
We probably have different things that we value.
Sure.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Right. We probably have different wants and needs. We probably have different bills and debt situations. So if you looked at both of us and you were like, okay, here's the budget you're going to follow.
Right. Doesn't make sense.
Both of us would be like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And over here, that number's going to need to change. And right? Like we would immediately.
For one kid.
Right? I'm about to be spending for, well, I guess I'm already spending for 3. But, but that's the reality. Like our whole life is different.
Right.
So you're going to tell me that there's a one size fits all solution? Like those don't exist. Personal finance has to be personal. And the good news is that there's tons of like different perspectives and approaches out there, and it's a buffet.
Right.
You don't have to go with just one. You can pick different things that work for you in different areas of your life, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you have to do the learning
to
be able to get into the buffet. Does that make sense?
It all makes
You got to
sense.
understand what your options are before you can start putting things on your plate.
Yep. And last thing I have for you on that personal savings note, of course, there's a lot of people who have those wants, maybe not necessarily needs, but wants. Like you and I were talking about, you have a fancy coffee habit.
I do.
If you will. Why though is that okay for? And we did kind of talk about this, the treat yourself thing. So why is it okay for people to make choices like that when maybe you have people saying, "Oh, you have a Starbucks cup in your hand, you don't need that."
Right. Okay. This is a radical comment.
Okay.
There's no such thing as good and bad spending.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Like people might look at me and say like, "Oh, your fancy coffee is a bad habit." And I'm like, actually, I know roughly exactly how much money I'm spending on coffee per year. I have a plan for it. Like my coffee is my reward for getting my very not early bird self up out of bed, getting dressed, getting my kids ready, getting them to daycare and getting to work on time. And I do it once a week.
Oh, well, that's easy.
So between $5 and $7 a week for 52 weeks a year, it's like around $350.
That's not bad.
In a year.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if I plan for that, if it's in my budget and it doesn't affect whether I can save, whether I can pay down my debt, whether I can make sure that all my needs are covered, if it doesn't affect any of those things, then why does anybody get to tell me that it's bad just because it isn't what they would do?
Right.
Right?
Agreed.
Now, recognizing that every choice that you make with money is a choice that you can't make,
Okay.
right? I'm choosing coffee so that I can't choose X, Y, or Z,
Okay.
right? It also means that like if I'm saving for something, I might forgo my coffee for a few weeks. Like when I was saving for my brother's wedding, we made the coffee at home for a few months.
Coffee. Sure.
Everything is give and take. It's not good and bad. It's what are your priorities and are you going to get there?
There you go. Nice. All right, Brenna. Well, we've learned so much today about, so many different things. In this introductory podcast we have. So why don't you tell the people if they want to learn a little more from CapEd Credit Union, where can they go?
Yeah. CapEd'sCU.com is probably the greatest resource. We have an awesome learning center with tons of free curriculum from lesson plans to videos to handouts, like you name it, it's on there. You can also like walk into a branch, ask the person you see in front of you if you're that kind of person that wants a conversation, but reach out, take that first step.
Perfect. Easy enough. All right. Joining me today has been Brenna Greenwood, CapEd's financial education specialist. Brenna, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.